Hey everybody, Matthew McConaughey here. Today we're going to talk about chasing your better self. I've been keeping a journals for 36 years. So I started when I was 14 years old and I still keep one today, going on 37 years. Look, journaling has been really important to my wellness, and that just to write something down when we're having a hardship or confused, it's amazing how many times I've noticed it unlocks that problem, or it lets that problem that we have come out of its little compartment in the back of our mind and frees it up, and it moves around and we can see it differently. Just putting the problem to the written word or putting the idea to the written word helps us see it objectively and not feel like it's got the weight of the world on us subjectively. So it takes it literally out of our mind or heart and puts it on a page. And then we read it and we look at it and we say, oh, I never looked at it from here before because it was always only inside me. I had times in my life where I did feel like I was succeeding. I felt like my relationships were going great. I made my grades. Mom and dad were happy. I had a job. I would fire out of bed in the morning. Couldn't wait to go greet the day. And I remember thinking, oh, look, Matthew, you're not writing in your diary as much right now. You're not writing in your journal as much right now. And I remember telling myself at that moment, I think you should write down in your journal during the times when things are going well. Dissect success instead of only dissecting failure. What are our habits when things are working well in our life, when our relationships are good, when our career feels good, when our relationship with ourselves feels good? Write down things during those times as well. And what'll happen, and I know this happened for me, is when we do get in a proverbial rut again, which we will, we then have something to look back at and go back to those times when things were going well and say, hey, what were my habits here? Who was I hanging out with? What was I eating? Where was I going? How was I greeting the day? And it'll help us recalibrate and help us get back on track to get out of whatever rut we're in. I wrote a list of 10 goals in life on September 1st of 1992. I found this list 2 years ago in my book of diaries. My goals in life, I noticed that in some fashion, I've actually achieved these. Some I am still achieving, but many I actually had done. The goals are here. 1, become a father. Yep. My one dream in my life was always be a father. Well, once we had our children, as you parents know out there, it's not like we did it. Now the real work starts. Now we have a whole new thing of how are we going to be a father? How are we going to be a mother? We've now created the truest expression of ourselves, even though, as all parents know, once you have children, we realize that it's more DNA than we thought it was going to be versus environment. But we create the truest extension of ourselves. But the work that you got to put in as a parent afterwards, that's when the real work starts, is how you shepherd them throughout their lives, especially in those formative first 18 or however many years they're under your roof. My mom always said one thing that made great sense and has proved to make sense is, look, you're not always going to be perfect parents. But if the common denominator is just love your kids, just love them, you really can't go wrong. And loving them does not mean giving them everything they want. We know better. We have to fight that time when we're lonely ourselves and we're looking for a friend in our kids. So we want to give them the proverbial piece of candy, right? Even though they're not supposed to have it. We want to, so they'll like us more at the time. Maybe that's our own, maybe we're doing it for ourselves. We got to catch ourselves sometimes. We go, no. Saying no is much harder than saying yes as a parent. I don't believe kids need their parents as buddies as much as they need their parents as parents. Later on, they can be buddies. And in certain times in their life when they're younger, we can be buddies. But boy, they need us for the guidance and the shepherding as parents before they need a good buddy. 2, find and keep the woman for me. So far, so good. I was at a time in my life where I was single before I'd met her. And I had just come to grips with the fact that I might always be single. I might be an 88-year-old bachelor. And where, as much as that idea scared me, I'd come to grips with the fact that, hey, that's okay. Now, why did I come to grips with that? Because I noticed myself looking for the right woman, Whether it was at a stoplight, at a football game in the produce section. I was looking and I was like, wait a minute. You're reaching outside of yourself, trying to see if it's possible. I said, why don't you just settle back into yourself and just be the best version of yourself, the truest version of yourself you can be. And like a spider web, maybe she'll come. And as soon as I realized that and quit looking for her, that's when she did come. And I saw her moving across the room that night. And I didn't go like, that's the one for me. I did know everything that went through my mind. She's turned out to be the emulation of and turned out to be in real life and then some. So my intuitions, with not even speaking to her, 5 seconds of seeing her move, were all 100% correct. We all get self-consumed. I know I do. I know I can be very selfish in a negative way. I can be so consumed that I may not give enough context to where I'm needed in other parts of our family or marital relationship. We all can do that. So some of it is hard work. Sometimes our career gets going so well, we can move into the debit section in our relationship with our spouse. So how do we keep everything in the credit section? You know what I mean? And it takes patience. It takes sense of humor. So sometimes it's hard work, but sometimes it's about not making it so hard and just letting somebody slide because you see that they're rolling on that thing. And though you may not be in the middle of it, you see being happy for their happiness when you're not even a part of it is a biggie. For me to be happy for her when she's doing something that is independent of me and I don't have anything to do with it. And maybe I'm wanting to spend more time with her, need something from her, but I see her from afar enjoying and getting gratification of what she's doing independent of me, being truly happy for her and her being truly happy for me to see me do things independently of her and go, that bring a smile to her face and her heart. That's the bit of that let some things slide where we can be kind to each other in that way and don't make it so hard. The joy in the doing. Happiness is usually what we like to call it. Well, how do I be happy? I don't know if that's the right question because happiness really, we form that as a destination. As I'm going to get to a place where I'm happy. The joy in the doing what we're fashioned to do. If we're fortunate enough to understand what we have an innate ability to do. And if we do something well, we usually feel good about doing it and want to do it over and over and over. And then if we can match our innate ability with what we want to educate ourselves on, what we want to work at, what we want to excel at and break a sweat at, and try to get better at, that's a really fortunate place if we can get to there, if we can get to that place. There's not a ta-da moment of, I've got happiness now, ding. You don't reach that destination. There is no such place. If you think you reach that destination, fine, but you will very quickly see that new challenges will come up, either by your own making and your own ambitions, or the world will just rearrange it for you. You're like, oh, geez, I thought I had it all figured out. No, we're back on the journey again. I call it chasing yet. If we're chasing our better selves, we're always just chasing who we are yet to become, knowing we are never going to arrive at yet. There's no final capital Y-E-T. We did it. We are not going to find that place of perfect justice across the board. But if we can keep chasing yet, we can keep getting a little closer to it, and life can have a bit of an ascension, and we can get a little better at it, a little better at it, a little better at it. We're never going to arrive at a utopia. We're never going to arrive at a place where personally we're like, I've got it. There's no such place. And that's the point, I believe. 3, keep my relationship with God. So far, so good. 4, chase my best self. That's what we were just talking about. 5, be an egotistical utilitarian. This is a great one because I wrote a paper in college about the egotistical utilitarian. He was the fictional character in my story. It was the Renaissance person who all of his choices that were selfish for him were also the same choices that were the best for the most amount of people. And that is a place that to this day I still pursue trying to make those choices. Number 6, take more risks. Taking a lot of risk, I've still got more to take. Number 7, stay close to my mom and family. Yes, I've done this. Number 8, win an Oscar for Best Actor. I was like, what? I wrote that down in 1992. And that is one that I actually permanently and finitely actually did pull off with Dallas Buyers Club. Had no idea, completely forgot that I ever wrote that down. Completely forgot I ever wrote anything on this list down, meaning I never looked at this list again until 2 years ago. Number 9, look back and enjoy the view. Look back, and I must say I kind of enjoyed the view. It was hard, but I enjoyed it. When I decided to go off and write this book, I said, okay, you're going to look at 36 years of your diary. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be ashamed. You're going to see times where you were arrogant, and you're going to be like, who the hell do you think you were? Well, all 3 of those were true. I look back at places, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Geez, you weren't arrogant. At the same time, a lot of the stuff I thought I'd be embarrassed about, I laughed at. A lot of the stuff I thought I'd be ashamed at, I forgave myself for. A lot of the times where I saw myself as arrogant, I said, well, at least you were so arrogant that you were confident enough to make a decision to put yourself in the game where you found out you didn't know as much as you thought you know. And if you wouldn't have been that arrogant, you wouldn't have had the confidence to put yourself in that position to find out you didn't know. Been fortunate not to dwell on things, hardships, screw-ups of my own, to not dwell on them to an extent to where they immobilized me or made me feel bewildered completely. And, I've heard this great quote. Some of us can be overly arrogant with our own guilt for certain things. Can be an arrogant thing, as in, who the hell do I think I am being judge and jury on myself to feel so guilty about that? I'm not God. You're not God. Some things you just got to go, no, I forgive you for that. Now, we don't want to become a repeat offender. This is why I think some guilt is good and why stress is good. It means you give a damn. I've always been striving for that. And I noticed that in looking back, and now I've been writing about it, and habits of mine that were always striving and not letting a failure or a foible define me, yet at the same time shaking hands with the fact, well, that's part of me. I did screw up there. I could have done better there. I was not my better self there. And forgiving myself and going, yeah, but you kept trying. You stayed in the game. Back to just keep living. Just stay in the game. And number 10, just keep living. Hey, about to turn 51. I'm still alive, practically speaking. So far, so good on that. So that's my 10 goals in life. As I said, I wrote those down one night in 1992. Never physically looked back at that list again until I found it 2 years ago. We're all doing this thing together, but we're doing it individually. And if we can ask ourselves each day, if we can look in the mirror and say, hey, how can I do a little bit better? How can I be a little bit more myself today? If we can do that every day, that's as good as it gets. So this is about staying in the race and committing to the chase of trying to be our better selves. Just keep living. Hope you enjoy.
Matthew McConaughey's Walk Talk podcast is an on-demand walk and learn audio experience exclusive for WW Digital 360 members. Move, listen, and learn with Matthew and me, Coach Nat, all whilst getting your heart pumping. We talk for 40 minutes about chasing your better self. Sign up today to listen.